As the glamorous evening unfolds, billionaire Alex finds himself unexpectedly captivated by Lily, the woman he hired as a date for appearances. Her honesty and warmth pierce through the shallow world he's used to, stirring feelings he didn't expect. Just when the elite crowd grows curious about this mysterious woman by his side, Alex does something no one saw coming. He takes a knee and proposes, leaving everyone stunned. Lily, overwhelmed and on the verge of tears, must decide if she can trust this man with her fragile heart. Will this turn into a fairy tale or expose deeper secrets that neither anticipated? But before we dive in, leave a comment and let us know where you are watching from today. And if this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories. In his penthouse office high above the city, Alexander Morgan, a billionaire entrepreneur in his early 40s, gazed out over the glittering skyline. Known for his keen business sense and impeccable image, Alex was the kind of man who could make or break industries with a single decision. But tonight, he was in need of something much more personal. A date, but not just any date. He needed someone who would create a sensation, an unpredictable presence to rattle the rigid high society circles he'd grown bored of. After a scandalous breakup with a famous actress had the tabloids buzzing, Alexander was expected to show up at the annual charity gala with someone stunning on his arm. The pressure from his peers and the prying media made him sigh. He'd grown tired of the same shallow interactions, the endless parade of social climbers looking to attach themselves to his fortune. As he stepped out of his office and descended to the crowded street below, Alex's eyes scanned the bustling city. That's when he spotted her, tucked in a shadowed corner, a woman wrapped in a tattered coat, her face hidden beneath messy hair. She was quiet, unnoticed by the throngs passing by. But Alex saw something intriguing in her posture, an air of dignity that hadn't been worn down by the streets. He approached her, his polished Italian shoes clicking against the pavement. She glanced up, startled, her eyes wary and cautious. "Excuse me," Alex said, his voice smooth and calm, "but I'd like to offer you an unusual opportunity." Her eyes narrowed as she studied him, suspicion flickering. "What kind of opportunity?" "A chance to be my date for the evening," he replied, his gaze steady. "There's a formal event, and I need someone unexpected." "You'll be paid, of course." She looked at him in disbelief, one eyebrow arching skeptically. "You need a date? And you thought of me?" For a moment, a small smile curved his lips. "I believe it would make for an interesting night. Are you interested?" As the woman stared at Alexander, he could see the hesitance and suspicion in her eyes. Her hands clenched the frayed edges of her coat, and she took a step back. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I'm not interested," she muttered, turning away. "Wait," he said, his tone softening. "I know it sounds strange, but I'm serious. You would just need to accompany me for a few hours, and I'll make it worth your time." She paused, looking over her shoulder, her gaze narrowing. "How much?" Alex's lips twitched slightly. $5,000. Tonight only. Her eyes widened in shock, her mind no doubt spinning as she weighed his words. She took a deep breath, glancing down at her worn shoes. "All right, I'll do it," she murmured, almost as if she didn't believe her own voice. "Good," he replied, extending a hand. "My name is Alexander. Alexander Morgan." She hesitated, then took his hand. "Lily," she replied, her voice just above a whisper. Soon, Alex guided Lily into a sleek black car, her gaze darting around the interior, eyes wide at the luxurious leather seats and gleaming fixtures. The car hummed down the street, taking them to a high-end boutique where stylists awaited their arrival. Why are we here?" she stammered, looking at him in confusion. "If you're going to be my date, you should look the part," he replied with a faint smile. "Now, let's get you ready." The stylist swept Lily into a dressing room, working on her hair and makeup as she stared at herself in the mirror, scarcely recognizing her own reflection. The years of hardship seemed to melt away as they applied delicate makeup, highlighting her natural beauty. A stylist draped her in a sleek, floor-length black gown that hugged her frame perfectly. When she finally emerged, Alex found himself momentarily speechless. Her transformation was astonishing. She looked both elegant and vulnerable, a mystery wrapped in beauty. "You clean up well," he remarked with a smirk, and she rolled her eyes, though a faint blush colored her cheeks. "Let's get this over with," she murmured, her gaze softening just slightly. They arrived at the grand ballroom, where chandeliers hung from the ceiling and classical music played softly in the background. Guests mingled, dressed in their finest attire, each hoping to impress, each hiding behind a mask of wealth and power. Alex kept his hand lightly on Lily's back as they entered, drawing curious stares and whispers from the elite crowd. He knew they were speculating, wondering about the mysterious woman on his arm. The tabloids would have a field day, but Alex didn't mind. In fact, he enjoyed the attention. Lily, however, was visibly uncomfortable, her gaze darting around, her grip tight on his arm. "Everyone's staring at us," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Let them stare," he replied, giving her a reassuring squeeze. "Just be yourself." But as the evening unfolded, something unexpected happened. Lily, despite her initial discomfort, began to relax. She was witty, charming, and surprisingly insightful, holding her own in conversations with people who had never experienced hardship. Her honesty and sincerity were like a breath of fresh air, and Alex found himself captivated. As they spoke with one wealthy couple, Lily remarked with quiet intensity, "We often judge people based on their wealth or status, but sometimes the ones who seem the least impressive have the strongest character." The woman seemed taken aback, and Alex found himself studying Lily with newfound admiration. There was a wisdom and resilience about her that he hadn't anticipated, and he realized that this night, intended as a stunt, was becoming something much more meaningful. As the evening went on, Alex couldn't take his eyes off Lily. She was enchanting, her presence like a light in the otherwise dull, polished world he had grown accustomed to. At some point, he leaned over and whispered, "You're doing incredible." She laughed, a sound that was soft yet infectious. "I'm just trying not to embarrass you." The two shared a look, and for a brief moment, Alex forgot about the event, the people, the image he was trying to uphold. All he saw was Lily, a woman who had been through so much yet carried herself with grace and strength. The evening took a sudden turn when a man approached, his face lit with recognition. He was an old college friend of Alex's, someone with whom he had shared countless business ventures. The man raised an eyebrow, glancing between Alex and Lily with intrigue. "Alex," he said, his voice dripping with curiosity, "I didn't know you had a new interest." Alex, feeling the intensity of the moment, straightened. He glanced at Lily, who looked away, clearly feeling out of place. Something inside him clicked. He felt an inexplicable desire to protect her, to shield her from the shallow judgments of his world. Without thinking, he took her hand and turned back to his friend. "Yes, actually," he replied, his voice steady. "Lily and I have become very close." The man looked surprised, but Alex didn't give him a chance to respond. Instead, he led Lily to the edge of the ballroom, where they could have a moment of privacy. "What was that about?" she asked, her eyes wide. "Sometimes, people need to be reminded that life is about more than appearances," he replied, his voice gentle. "And I realize that more than ever. Tonight." She blinked, looking as if she didn't know what to say. But before she could respond, he took a deep breath, his gaze intense. "Lily, would you stay with me a bit longer? After tonight?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. She looked at him, startled. You mean as your—" Alex nodded, a hint of vulnerability crossing his face. "As someone who's real, someone who can help me see beyond all this. I need someone like you." Lily's gaze softened, and she looked at him with a mixture of disbelief and tenderness. "Alex, I'm just a homeless woman. Why would you choose me?" "Because I've never felt this way around anyone else," he admitted, his voice raw with emotion. And before she could respond, he dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. The room seemed to freeze as he opened it, revealing a diamond ring that sparkled under the chandelier lights. "Lily, I know this is sudden, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Will you marry me?" A collective gasp echoed through the ballroom, the crowd watching with rapt attention. Lily's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. I don't know what to say," she stammered, her voice choked with emotion. "Say yes," he whispered, his gaze pleading. "Give me a chance to show you that I can be the man you deserve." For a moment, she stood there, her heart pounding. And then, slowly, she nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Yes," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Yes, I'll marry you." The room erupted in applause as Alex rose to his feet, pulling her into an embrace. But as they held each other, Lily felt a new kind of warmth, a feeling of belonging she hadn't felt in years. In that moment, she knew that her life had changed forever, that she had found not just a new beginning, but a new home, a new family, and a new love. And Alex, too, knew that he had found the missing piece of his life, a woman who had reminded him of what truly mattered. As they looked into each other's eyes, they both knew that this was only the beginning of a journey that neither of them had ever expected, but one they were ready to face together.